Welcome to Out on the Front Lines. My name is Lester Green, and I am your host.
My name is Forrest Tuff, CEO of One Vision Productions. Every year, I like to set goals for myself and my company. I do this by number one, saying it out loud, two, writing it down, three, go get it done.
Hey, Forrest Tuff, welcome to Out on the Front Lines. It is a pleasure to have you here. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lester, man. Good to be here this year, 2021.
Yeah, we
Right?
made it.
We made it.
Yeah, it was kind of scary, though. I got to admit, I was still out there filming and just worried that something could happen. Were you doing a lot of filming?
Yeah, well, you know what? I did refrain from a lot of projects initially. And, we found ways with a lot of the work we did to actually do a lot of taping in-house and virtually. So we did cut it out, but the good thing about our business is that, we do use certain contractors. And so we were able to do some projects because there were some contractors that, after a little while, they were like, hey, look, we're out. So, they would go out and do the work. And, a lot of what we did was in-house. So, yeah, it's just been good as it's evolved. Let's put it that way.
Okay, all right. I like that. I was watching the news yesterday, and in Atlanta, right here in Atlanta, there was a kid who was killed for selling water. So I don't know if you're familiar with that hustle, but
yeah,
everywhere in the world, you'll see people selling bottles of water for $1
right.
or $2 and so forth. Are you familiar with the story?
No, tell me about that story.
Okay, all right. So some new kid was selling water in this area of Atlanta, and a kid who was working in that area already felt like this kid was invading his property or his territory. So the two of them got into a little scuffle. The kid who was already selling there left, came back with a gun and shot him. Jeez. So I wanted to ask you about that because I get that people need to hustle and times are hard. But how do you feel about kids selling water in the streets to strangers?
It's kind of twofold because, especially with young black men, you want to see them doing something productive. But on the other side, sometimes there's more than water. I'll leave it at that. Sometimes it's more than water. So what then becomes a problem is when you have this behavior that emulates, drug life with something as common as water. So the circumstances seem to be no different because now something that has possibly been seen as productive in our community now is putting out that same level of violence and destructive behavior. So it turns something that could be positively good into something that's going to be deemed as bad. And so now, it doesn't take but one apple to ruin the bunch. And now you see kids selling water, and now they are seen as a threat. And it perpetuates that same image of black men as being violent, even to the point of, are they selling water or is this just a front for drugs or something like that? So, it's unfortunate that happened, man, that a guy lost his life over a bottle of water. But, that's definitely an issue, and it's definitely going to cause some problems for that industry. For the people who are really hustling water.
I agree, because the victim's mother is trying to have that whole thing outlawed.
Oh yeah, yeah. If it was my child, I'll be honest with you, I'd be the same way. I'd be outraged. That would be just inexcusable. So I get it.
Yeah. So speaking of your kids, I know you have 3 girls, correct?
Yeah, 3 daughters, man.
Yeah, 3 daughters. And I just wanted to ask you, you got one who's a great athlete, you got one that's a scholar, and you have a younger child who is going to be incredibly great. I just know it because it runs in the genes.
Thanks,
how do you feel about them growing up in this kind of America?
Honestly, I thought just in general, when I was a young man, I thought, I don't want to have daughters just in general, because it's one of those things where you don't realize how much of a blessing women are to you as a man. They really help you to grow up, and help you to be more responsible. I think for me, having daughters, it's always that threat of what guys can do. And there's a lot of other things that, you have to worry about. For me, I think the biggest thing is just to make sure that, I had to learn how to communicate better. You know, I wasn't always just communicate. You don't have to do that. You know, with girls, they want to talk, you know, and they need answers. They have questions. So, you know, for me, I've become a better communicator in that regard. And I think, you know, where we've been able to have some success is that we have open conversation, you know, and that's something that, you know, growing up for me, just as, you know, in the community, certain things we just didn't talk about, you know, that was just how it was for me, you know, growing up. And so I've had to do away with some of the stigmas of how I was raised and just, you know, talk and be aware. You know, I need to know what TikTok is. I need to know what's happening with Snapchat, you know, and I need to be able to actually have a conversation with them about it, not just, oh, that's something crazy. But, you know, I may not be on, you know, doing TikToks or trying to go viral, but I at least want to, you know, be able to joke with them and see what it's talking about, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I watched an interview on you where you talked about how when you were younger, you were a poor communicator, and that might have led to your basketball career not quite getting to the next level. Because I didn't realize you were such a great basketball player. Can you talk to us about that? And do you have regrets about just not being a better communicator growing up?
You know, growing up, man, I grew up in Decatur, Georgia. And at the time, you know, I was on something called M to M, you know, basically where we went from my neighborhood to a more affluent school system, you know, and it was a culture shock from the standpoint of, you know, what I saw growing up in my neighborhood and just how we communicated. So it was just different, you know, it was just a different way of doing things. And I ended up getting a scholarship, you know, eventually to play Division I basketball as I was getting close to those NBA hoop dreams, you know, and it was just one of those things where now I'm at a predominantly white university and I didn't understand, you know, they say the politics of sports, you know, I just knew work hard, but at this same point in time, I'm now out in the world, you know, I'm free. I grew up, dad was a pastor. He was kind of strict, you know, so now I'm free. I'm finding out what the world is about. And so I lived a real big time party life. And just sometimes that interfered with my basketball career. You know, it wasn't something that happened in the games. It wasn't prevalent, but I realized that I was no longer as focused. Even though I thought I was, it took me away from that. And so I had some challenges, you know, just communicating with the coaches on, and that, I think that could have been that, you know, just that disparity and just knowing how to have that conversation with different people. So, yeah, I mean, you look back on it, man, and you regret, you go, man, if I could have, you know, but at the same point in time, I look at now how those mistakes have been able to help my daughter who now plays Division I college. I'm always about improving the next generation. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good experience, man, but.
Yeah. So your daughter, Jordan Tuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Jordan.
So did you plan to call her Jordan?
You know, listen, it was not, I was one of these kids. I grew up, my name is Forrest, right? That's cool now. But growing up as a kid, Forrest was like, you know, in my neighborhood, you know, kids used to pick at it. And then when Forrest Gump came out, I was like, is that what we doing? Is this what I got to live the rest of my life? So even to this day, people, you know, hey, how you doing? I'm Forrest. And they get that look. I'm like, go ahead, get it out. Just go ahead and get it out. You know, but so when I was thinking about naming my children, I always wanted something that, you know, I think had kind of a unisex name. So it wouldn't pigeonhole them. So, you know, my kids are like Jordan, Sydney, you know, Skylar, something that doesn't pigeonhole them or may put them in a position where they're discriminated on just based on their name. So I think that was one of the things that I thought about. And their names have meaning too, you know. So.
Yeah. So, okay, you got injured. I think you hurt your shooting hand or something like that.
Yeah, severed the nerves in my shooting finger, you know. So,
wow.
Yeah, I was like if I was to put it this way, and Steph Curry is on another level, right? Okay. He's in the NBA. Mm-hmm. But in my day when I played, you know, I was like the number 3. I had the number 3 in the nation in 3-point percentage. I led the state of Georgia. So, you know, there are games where I had 11, 10, 9, 8 3-pointers, you know, and, you know, sometimes I had 30 and a half. So I used to score, you know, I used to put up some good numbers. And, you know, for my height, I'm 5'11". That was pretty impressive at that time.
You were athletic too. I saw you dunking the ball too.
Yeah. I caught a lot of dudes, man. I caught
a lot of bodies.
Yeah, it's some dudes out there that know what I'm talking about too. I caught a lot of people slipping, But yeah, those were some good days, man.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, because I grew up playing basketball. I was a great athlete.
Yeah.
But I realized at a certain point I had to pivot. So how were you able to pivot from basketball to that next thing? What was that next thing? How did you know that, okay, basketball is not going to be in my future anymore? I have to do something else.
You know, actually growing up, man, I actually was an artsy kid. I collected comic books. You know, I used to like doing magic. I used to like doing a lot of stuff that might have been considered geeky. But at that time, and I draw, but, you know, I didn't go to a school of the arts. So in my neighborhood, you know, even as a kid, you try to find that thing where you can have acceptance and get through. When I picked up sports, that's when I immediately got that validation. So when sports was no longer an option, I kind of lost. I was caught up in, like, I thought, you know, I was sports. Sports was me. Ball is life. So I kind of lost my identity. And there was a period in time where I really struggled with trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And, you know, at this point in time, social media is not as prevalent. So I was just having a hard time, like really hard time. I didn't know what I wanted. But I think over a period of time, one thing I will say this, in high school, I always had a camcorder. Like, I was recording everything. So all my life has been recorded. You know, my mom used to have a camcorder, you know, growing up. So I always did that. And one day somebody asked me, hey, man, how much would you charge to do this birthday party? And it was like, yeah, they paid me $100 to do a birthday party. And that was a start. And so from there, that kind of gave me that, okay, maybe this is something, because I was searching for it. And that's how I found my way into the whole world of media.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. So it found you in a sense.
Yeah, it did. Came back, helped me remember.
Yeah.
Like, hey, don't forget us, you know.
Yeah. So what I find interesting about you is that you were born in Atlanta, right?
Yeah. Born in Atlanta, raised in Decatur.
Yeah. Most people here in Atlanta come from somewhere else.
That's right.
Right. And so I wanted to ask you about that. How do you feel about other people coming to Atlanta and sort of trying to claim it in a sense?
Yeah.
Because they always say that Atlanta is the place where you can come, film your own project, and then go back.
That's right.
Where you came from. How do you feel about that?
You know what, man? I'm just one of those type. If it's meant for you, it's meant for you. Like, you know, when you know you're a part of something, you don't have to try to own it or claim it. It's just you. You know, I'm from the A. You know, I was born at Georgia Baptist, you know, but I was raised in Decatur, Georgia. But my memories are here. My roots are here. So when I see a lot of other people coming in, they've been here for a while. Hey, man, I understand what they love about the city. You know, I get it. And so I just try to make sure in my own lane that I find my lane and I just hit that lane as hard as I can, you know. And for me, it's actually great because I love collaborating with people with different mindsets. You know, people from up north have this mindset like it's going to get done, get it. So I like meeting people with that mindset and they're about the business on a real level. So, you know, it's actually good because, you know, any native knows the people in there. I know people from this. I know how we move. I know how we flow. So it's the good and the bad. So, you know, it's learning new people because it only opens up your platform and diversifies how you think. So it's okay to me.
Yeah. You mentioned that you attack that lane hard. I feel like you're in multiple lanes. You're a podcaster, you're a businessman, filmpreneur. You do a little bit of everything. So I wanted to ask you about that. How do you manage to stay in every lane and still fulfill everything that lane contains? Because sometimes you can spread yourself a little too thin.
Yeah. And
then one lane doesn't quite get enough energy as it requires. How do you manage to balance everything out?
Yeah, I agree that can happen. And I think for me, I've had to learn how to manage people and my time, you know, because I also am really involved with my family. So it's like there is the grind of, you know, everything that I do revolves around media and storytelling. If you look at it, you know, it's different forms of it, but they all in the media storytelling business. So when I started out with my company, One Vision Productions, you know, we started out with doing music videos and stuff like that. Actually, I don't know if you ever heard this song called Swag Surfin.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I love that song.
I directed the music video. That's my claim to fame and entertainment back in the day, right?
You directed that?
Man, I got that swag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my foray into entertainment. Yeah.
I ain't know that.
Yeah, man.
That was a hit record.
Yeah, it still is. Like, that's the HBCU anthem. You hear that? Yeah.
Wait, how did that come about? How did you land that job? I hate to.
So actually, it was a family member. It was a cousin of mine, and her husband actually was working with this group, and I had been doing videos for him. And so one day they came and said, "Hey man, we got this group." They were trying something different. He was an artist, and now he was going into the executive producing lane. And he said he had this group, and I heard it, and I said, "Man, this right here is going to be a national hit." I knew it right off the top. It was just that type of thing. Back in the day, I did promotions for Rowdy Records, so I used to hit all the clubs and take music, and I had an ear for music, and I was so caught up with that song. And so that's how I came about getting with the group Fly. And we did the video and immediately took off, viral, went worldwide. And to this day, it's still, they actually played in the White House. And I was like, hey, that's huge, man.
Wow.
Yep.
So wait, when something like that happens in your career, most times people say, I made it. Mm-hmm. I don't have to work hard anymore. But I feel like with you don't rest on your laurels. Can you speak to us about the importance of moving ahead and constantly growing and getting better and not settling on your accomplishments?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the way I look at accomplishments is something I achieve. I think I'm mentally made that way. I've won a lot of awards, but I think it's my drive. It's the same thing that made me a top athlete. I think that's just the way I'm driven. And I think most people pursue life the way they are. Some people love it for the craft. They love it for this, but I have an end game in mind. And so for me, it's like, all right, I need to get to this certain point, so now I can get to this point. So I haven't reached my end game. And that was, at that time, Swag Surfin was a great plateau for me in entertainment, but I was actually diversifying my company to start working with corporations and government agencies. So that was my last foray in that entertainment industry. So for me, I appreciate the accolades, but at the same time, I'm more about continuing to put out good work. And, the times have changed over the past decade, man. Media and entertainment, the whole world just changed how things are done. So, just trying to stay sharp, trying to compete and, be relevant, and not just fall off. And they're like, man, what's the last thing you did?
I know.
So, it's a challenge, but, I think that's the part of, I love that challenge and I love being in that creative space.
Yeah. So you said you have a lot of accolades. You do. You have a lot of awards.
Yeah.
And one in particular that stood out to me was you were named by Atlanta Magazine, the top 500 most powerful people here in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's coming out this month. Atlanta Magazine has a listing that, they list the top 500 business leaders in different professions. And I was honored to be selected as one. So that really meant a lot to me because, you don't go after it that way, but you definitely want to be recognized in your city. And as most people know, it's hard to be born in a place and be recognized in that place. Sometimes you have to go somewhere else. They'll recognize you, and then your city's like, oh no, that's ours.
Yeah, I know him. We know him.
That's right. So no, it's a great honor, man. I've worked hard, to really constantly put out good content, have great business ethics, man, and not burn bridges and treat people good. So I was honored to be in that list with the likes of people like Tyler Perry and, major other artists and producers. Just to be mentioned in that vein was huge for me. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think I saw Will Packer.
Yeah, Will Packer. I mean, these are major heavy hitters, and a lot of these people are famous. So, you have people like myself who are in Atlanta. We're involved in a lot of things. We know people. By no means am I famous, but I know a lot of people that make, I call it money moves. If we talk about it, because at the end of the day, that's more of my bottom line. I'm more of a businessman. I'm really concerned about, I need a return on my investment. So I'm not really so much about fame as I am about making sure that if I do a product, there can be some type of return on me investing in that. So that's kind of how I look at everything that I'm involved in.
Yeah. And that leads me right into my next question. You call yourself the Filmpreneur. So you know the business,
Yeah.
the entrepreneurship, and then
Yeah.
you know the creative side, the film side.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that title, how it came about, what sparked it, and just let us know why it's so important to you.
Okay. So 7 years ago, like I say, I'm in media. My company's um, been in business since 2004, but about 7 years ago, I decided to get into the film business. And so, and I say film business, but one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to be respected as a filmmaker because I take every industry serious. So if I jump into film, I don't want somebody to just be like, he just over here messing around,
Yeah.
playing with our livelihood. I want filmmakers to know that I'm serious about this craft, even though that adult ADD thing is kicking in and I'm over here and over here and over here. I want them to know I'm serious about film. So when I embarked on film, I did little training certifications and, I joined organizations to learn about the industry. And, I've done probably about 30 films now in different capacities, from writer to editor, sound mixer. I was ready to get on any film set to learn, and so for me, it was important to build up a resume. I found out what's respectable for people in film. It's like, hey man, you need to get your IMDb. That's what real film people. So for me, I was about, the people that are serious. If they could look me up on IMDb and go, okay, yeah, he's serious. I see he's working on big projects, little projects. He's working. So it was important. And Filmpreneur came about because I saw that as I was making money or making films, I was investing in my own films, my own projects. And now I'm at that place where I'm starting to look at distribution. At first, I just wanted to make films, win awards, get in film festivals to be respected as, hey, this guy makes films, right? And so now that that's happened, I saw myself as a person who is creative but business savvy. I like to make sure that they both line up because, as I said at the beginning, this is the film business. And so for me, I wanted something that embodied that and to have my stamp in a mecca of amazing filmmakers, but something that I could own. So if they come across the word filmpreneur, that's Forrest Tuff, So that was where that came about. And I recently got my trademark on the name this past December. So that meant a lot, and in respect to this industry.
No, I love that. That's so smart. And
Thanks.
you mentioned that you have all these certifications, right?
Yeah.
I feel like with you, not only do you learn a specific craft, you also get certified. And what I mean by that is you don't just learn it to learn it. You learn it and go above and beyond so that you can be considered qualified. Right. So even you as a speaker, you're a certified speaker.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about the importance of doing that, maximizing your credentials and not just, like you said, playing around with it and something I dabble with?
Yeah. There's this saying that I'm sure a couple of people have said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Ready.
Yeah. So I'm always in a position where I never know who may want to call on me. And if they need to check my resume or if there's something that they feel is necessary to be considered hired for a position, or, I want to make sure that I have the credentials and also the resume and the work to maybe give me an edge over the next person. Because in this line of work, that's what it's about. There's competing, but you're really competing against yourself. You got to make sure you're the best version of yourself and not so much about the other person. Because I want everybody to win. But if I'm going after something, I'll be honest with you. If you watch the Lakers, play whoever they playing in the finals, everybody's trying to win. Yep. So for me, that's my take on thing. That athlete comes out, I want to win at whatever I'm going after, but not at the behest or trying to hurt somebody else's opportunity. I just want to be the best version of myself to give myself that chance. So for me, the credentials give me the validation, not only with my peers, but also those people who are looking for who is somebody that I can trust this with. Like they may have something more than just want a creative. They may want somebody when you can talk money, sit down and we can talk money, because that's a big thing too. So those are reasons I go after those type of things, Lester.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And so to your point, you also talked about speaking. The reason I became a professional speaker is I realized I had these different talents and I wanted to share this information. but I need to know the best way to do it. And so as opposed to just getting out and talking, I joined this organization called Toastmasters, where they teach you, how to present. And so it gave me a platform to learn how to present the different crafts and professions I was in a manner that would be better received by various people. Learn how to speak to your audience. So, I learned how to speak to various audiences about the same type of thing. And once again, what I do is media and storytelling. So that it encompasses everything. So speaking fell right into that. I'm telling stories. I'm showing people, I'm opening up the world to what I do. So as that happened, once again, that accreditation came in. They had this thing where, they have this elite speaking platform called an accredited speaker, and they're only 88 in the world. And so for me, that was something I wanted to go after. You had to, book paid speaking engagements. And so I was able to book at that particular time nearly 30 to 40 speaking engagements, and I qualified for that. So I'll be competing for that specific accreditation in 2021. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And once again, I want to meet with speakers and be regarded as someone who respects their profession also. I don't want them to go, it's just a film guy just trying to invade on.
Right.
Okay, he's paying his dues. I give him respect. Right. And but that's a personal thing. That's not for everybody. And no, you don't have to do that. But just for me, I think that's just how I'm wired, I guess.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk tough talk, right? You got you got your podcast show.
Yeah.
I feel like you're just making the right transitions. Why a podcast show? And what is your podcast show about?
Well, COVID-19 hit, and they put us in a position as us creators, we have to create. So we're sitting around stuck in the house, and I'm like, you know what? The show must go on somehow. And I was like, why not, create like a TV talk show type thing. So the premise was a talk show because originally I wanted to do that. So it worked out in a podcast TV show format because I aired it on TV and it had that podcast. And basically what it was me talking about things in my personal life, my personal and professional life. I had episodes that dealt with artificial intelligence and technology because there are clients that I've worked with in that space. It's a totally different world, working with agencies that have patents on artificial intelligence. So I just thought it was interesting to kind of combine all those worlds into one show. We talk about film. I had my family come on, they're entrepreneurs, and, I had women in business. So basically my show was surrounded, or the concept was highlighting great people in the industry and different things that I'm involved in. So it was fun for me because I got to bring a lot of amazing people, onto the show. And, we're going to probably have to get you on there, Lester, because you're doing some major things out here, man.
I'm game. I definitely want to collaborate with you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Well, we just collaborated on the Cameras Rolling expose with Laura Poindexter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
That's right, man. That's right. We have something coming out. And, like I say, it was just great working with you, Laura Poindexter, man, just amazing people. And for me, that's what it's about. Like all of you are from, I call it up top, the up top people. I mean, you're from actually another country, right? You were born in another country.
Germany.
Yeah, you were born in Germany by way of other states. You were like Texas, New York, Atlanta. Yeah. So, it's just, to me, that's the thing that's so amazing is you get to see how all these different people like yourself, man, who are doing things. I remember I was on your IMDb page, and I'm not easily impressed. And I sat back and I was like, this dude is out here. Yeah. He's working, man. He's working. And I'm drawn to that. Like, I love that because we always say, they always tell you, always hear people say, never be the most accomplished or smartest person in the room. So you really want to be around people that are like-minded. And it's not necessarily about success and money. I don't ever want it to be about that. But I love the movement, the mindset, the ethics of how you deal with people. So to me, that's what I'm attracted to. So when I've met you all and you're like, hey, man, let's be a part of this project, I was like, definitely. Let me be a part of that because it's something I want to have my name attached to. So, yeah, it's just great meeting people like you, man. That's just amazing in terms of what we get to do in our industry.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I don't know. We think along the same lines. I just feel like I'm going to keep working no matter what's happening. The world could be collapsing right now as we speak, which
That's
it is
right.
in a sense.
Because even like with you, didn't you start your show during the
I
out on the front
did.
lines?
Out on the front line. Exactly. The
That's right.
pandemic sparked out on the front lines because I'm out on the front lines as a bus driver. I figured why not just create a show about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm about 35, 36 shows in now. So
Wow, man.
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And this is just one show, Lester. I mean,
I
I'm not trying to
know.
put you on the spot, but we talked and I'm like, wait a minute, he's coming out with another show over here. It's like, this dude is
Yeah.
so, like I love this. To me, for some people, man, movement like that is, they're like, ah, man, how can you do that? But I love to see it. I'm like, oh, this is it, because it's inspiring.
Yeah,
It's
same here.
inspiring. Yeah, it's very inspiring. I put it
Yeah,
that
because
way.
I went to your website and I'm just like, wow, how many awards does he have? I just see you posing with awards.
Yeah.
And you got all these titles, and I'm just amazed at that. And I always look at it this way, right? I feel like when it's my time to get to that next level, I don't think anybody's going to question whether or not I can do it or question whether or not you could do it, because
That's right.
the proof is in the pudding. It's there.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of making that right connection.
You're right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just a matter of when. I feel like if you I always feel like you reap what you sow, man. I think if you put out good energy, good work, and you consistently make the right moves, in the right direction, it's just a matter of time. Sometimes you can be a 25, 30-year overnight success, 10-year overnight success. So I look at it, for me, in my personal situation, I feel like I'm blessed because I am having success in my business life, but my family is close. I have my kids with me, man, my wife. To me, that means a lot because that success wouldn't mean anything if they felt left out of the equation. They're a part of everything. And, I have a relationship with them. And that, to me, that's the most important thing because I am a father, I'm married and I'm a father. It's important that my wife and my kids be a part of this journey with me.
Yeah, you're reading my mind. I was just going to ask you about your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know on your podcast show, I think you talked about fatherhood.
Yeah.
That was a subject. And I feel like that's something that's really missing in today's world. These kids are growing up without a father or without a mother. And the fact that you have your family together is everything. I know it makes everything a lot easier, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was blessed to grow up in a household with my parents, and early in life, I had children, I was married and got divorced. And so that was different for me because I didn't know how to be a father in a situation where my kids are in another state, so it was like for me, I have, like I say, my daughter plays basketball. My other daughter is, in college. She's academically doing her thing. And I remember my daughter was 7 years old and she played for this team called Upward Bound. And Upward Bound wasn't competitive sports. They teach you ethics and morals in sports. And my daughter's like, Dad, I'm having my first basketball game. Can you come? Like for her, she didn't understand that I was 6 hours away. So a lot of her career, I'm constantly driving back and forth just to see a game. I'll drive up just to see a game, and you know how it is when kids are playing. They're not balling. They're just having fun, but so those were rough times, but I was like, you know what? It's going to matter in the end.
Yeah.
Like if my kids know I'm there, it'll matter in the end. So I did my best to, be there. And now at this stage of my life to have them live with me during this, COVID-19, during the quarantine, and they're doing their college from the house and we're here. That means a lot to know that relationship in the family. And then, having another daughter with my wife now, and everybody's just a family, so it means a lot to me because that's what I was used to, the portrayals of fathers not being in homes. That's not my story. My dad has always been there. My mom has always been there. So for me, I wanted to provide that same thing. So even in my foolishness and our folly, causing that divorce, I'm glad that we were able to pull it together and still have my family intact.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Are you into doing family related movies? Is that something that you want to tackle, or maybe you've already done that?
Yeah, I would like to do that more. My youngest daughter is now taking acting classes, and one of my other daughters is, she's a writer. and she's taken a lot of things that work with that industry. And so we've definitely talked about that. We actually did a short film one time. It's a 2-minute short film. They had a little contest and we jumped in it. I went out and did a film in a day. But I've had them work on sets with me. You know, we've done films. They've been the subjects of posters, and, you know, they've worked on set as BTS photographers, you know, clapboard operators. So they've actually seen, you know, what it's like, you know, because I like to give them a taste of it to see if they're interested. So, yeah, I definitely in future would love to do some more family collaborated projects.
Okay, great. One last question. So I feel like you're always making those great moves. What's next for Forrest Tuff?
What's next? Well, right now, I am a certified master coach. So I'm taking the experiences that I have. I've actually been with an organization called SCORE. You know, this is an organization through the Small Business Administration that mentors entrepreneurs pro bono. So I've done that for now 6 years because I wanted to learn how to do it. So it wasn't something that I just jumped into. I've always given back to help other organizations have success, but I'm now entering a phase where I'll be actually, you know, coaching and helping others, and, you know, and there will be a fee attached to it, but it's something that I feel now I could really help people, because I'm really in the business of helping people. By no means is it always about money. It's just that sometimes I feel there's value placed on things to a degree when people make investments themselves, you know. So I'll be offering those services to invest my time and my experience to help people who may be trying to become professional speakers or filmmakers or start a business. And, you know, and that investment will be their time and, you know, some of their financial investment to learn a craft. Because when I think about the money that I spent to learn everything, hey, that's a part of business. You know, you have to be able to invest in yourself when you really want something. And that's just my personal take.
Yeah.
You know?
You mentioned being in the business of service and helping people and giving back.
Yeah.
Can you just talk to us about Derek Tuff and what he's doing?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a connection there, just this whole idea of helping.
Yeah, Derek Tuff is my cousin, but he's in a wheelchair, and, you know, he has some things where his eyesight, he's had some issues with eyesight, but in that, his mother and father did a great job of raising him. And so he lives independent in Utah on his own, you know, and he's doing a lot of things. He's in school, you know, he's an artist, he's a public speaker. And so for me, you know, we always keep in contact because he'll say, hey, cuz, man, this is what I'm doing. And I'm always encouraging him and just tell him, hey, let me know what I can do to help out, however that is. So for me, service starts with the ones that are closest to you. And I think sometimes there are those, and when we're dealing with family, we all know there can be issues with family, but there are family members that want help. And not just help, they don't want to hand out, they just want to hand up, you know, hey, this is something. And so he's one of those guys. I'm always impressed with my cousin Derek, smart guy, amazing young man. And so he doesn't let anything that he's dealing with stop him from what he's trying to do. So we keep in contact, and, you know, I'm always like, hey, cuz, this is what I got going on. And he's like, hey, cousin, I'm doing this. So it's just great to, you know, have that energy between us, even as family members, you know, and business.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a pleasure. I learned a lot.
It's been great. Thanks, Lester. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been great. How can people stay in touch with you? I know you're on social media.
Yeah. If you want to find it, my name is Forrest Tuff. That's FORRESTUFF.com. Everything is right there. myname.com. You can find all my social media sites that way, or anything that I'm involved in. There are links to my business website from there, but I think that would be the central place where you can find everything.
Yeah, I love that. Everything is right there. So one click away, ForrestTuff.com. I love it.
ForrestTuff.com. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here on Out on the Front Lines. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Now, Lester, I really appreciate the time, and I appreciate what you're doing out here, man. Keep going, and thanks for having me on the show.
All right. Well, stay safe.
All right.
Hi, my name is Forrest Tuff, and I would love to be your next virtual presenter. As a keynote speaker, I bring energy, enthusiasm, and sometimes a bit of humor, along with relevant tips and tools to empower audiences. My topics range from brand strategy and entrepreneurship to presentation mastery and video marketing. I have spoken at award ceremonies, club meetings, corporate conferences, and educational institutions, to name a few. As a longtime multimedia professional, my expertise avails me the unique opportunity to create various digital platforms for an enriched virtual presentation. If you decide to work with me, it will be the best investment you can make in a keynote speaker and virtual presenter.
There you have it. Thank you for watching Out on the Front Lines. Thank you to all the supporters. Again, we're looking for sponsors. Stay safe, stay productive, stay creative. Out on the Front Lines.
My name is Les,
signing out.
And I am a bus driver. So I think driving a bus is just something that is very fulfilling. People are depending on me. When they get to their destination and they come up to me and they thank me for getting them to their job safely, it makes me feel good. I feel like I'm doing something positive in the community. Driving the bus around, you see so many different things and you hear so many different stories, and it just really inspires me. I actually created a screenplay where I talk about my life experiences as a bus driver. So I think no matter what your job is, you need to find that sense of purpose. You need to find out why you're getting up every day to do what you do. And I do it because I love helping people at the end of the day.